I'm surviving, because if I try to live in prison, then I got to die, you see.
He protested his innocence while living a life of hell in one of America's notorious maximum security penitentiaries.
The life of Rubin "Hurricane" Carter has fascinated people for many years. The story is about a man's unwavering pursuit of freedom, racial injustice, and boxing victory. In this in-depth look at Rubin Carter's tragic and eventful life, we will explore his unstable values. On May 6, 1937, Rubin Carter came into this world in Clifton, New Jersey. Although he came from a working-class household, young Rubin had it tough. He was a prime target for bullies when he was a kid because of his significant stammer. Still, Carter never backed away from a challenge. He would spend most of his youth shaped by his fiery personality and determination to stand up for what he believed in. When he was only 11 years old, Carter had his first run-in with the authorities. A man's watch and money were stolen from him, and he was also accused of assault. For this unhappy child, this event set the tone for a lifetime of conflicts with authority figures and reform programs. Carter fled the Jamesburg Home for Boys and was in Philadelphia when he was 14 years old. He lied about his age when he enlisted in the army there. Carter saw a potential opportunity for discipline and organization in the military. He became well known for his boxing skills while serving in Germany when he discovered a liking for the sport. Carter's temper, however, soon resulted in him being in trouble once more, as old habits die hard. He reported for duty for less than 2 years before being dismissed for being unfit for military service. Before going into details, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Things went worse for Carter once he got back to New Jersey. He was sentenced to 4 years in Trenton State Prison after being found guilty of robbery in 1954. This is when Carter really committed to his boxing training. He was hell-bent on making it big when he got out. He managed to achieve his goals. The professional boxing world was shaken when Carter was released in 1961. With his aggressive approach and lightning-fast punches, Carter gained the nickname Hurricane in no time. He stands at 5'8", and has a strong physique and a furious expression. He was so good that 1964 he challenged for the World Middleweight Championship. Even if he had lost that fight, Carter had become a dominant force in boxing. However, Carter's life outside of the ring was about to be totally changed at the same time as his popularity was soaring within. At Patterson, New Jersey's Lafayette Bar and Grill, a terrible triple tragedy occurred on June 17, 1966. 3 individuals were killed, and 1 was badly wounded when 2 gunmen stormed into the pub and began firing. Everyone was stunned by the crime's brutality, which placed a lot of pressure on the police to discover those responsible. Shortly after the shootings, police allegedly pulled up the 2 guys for allegedly being in a vehicle matching the description given by witnesses. Carter and Artis were immediately thought to be the most likely culprits, even though there was no tangible proof connecting them to the murder. Arthur Bradley and Alfred Bello were the primary witnesses in the authorities of Carter and Artis. At the murder site, these guys said that they had seen Carter and Artis. Nevertheless, their accounts would subsequently be revised due to inconsistencies. In 1967, Carter and Artis were found guilty of the killings and given 3 life sentences, even though the evidence was not very strong. The conviction rocked both the boxing and civil rights communities. An aggressive prosecutor and a prejudiced court system railroaded Carter and Artis in what many perceived as a blatant instance of racial injustice. The prosecutor's focus on race as a justification for the murders was one of many dubious techniques that tainted the trial. Carter refused to back down from his conviction. He started fighting back from his jail cell, not using his hands, but his words. In 1974, he released his autobiography titled The 16th Round: From Number 1 Contender to Number 45472. The book captivated Bob Dylan and wrote the iconic song Hurricane based on Carter's case. Rubin Carter went from being a little celebrity to a national sensation suddenly. As a result of the media attention, Carter's case went to trial again in 1976. All signs pointed to justice finally winning out this time. However, Carter and Artis were found guilty again, which was devastating. The Hurricane's struggle for liberty seems to have reached a dead end. Still, Carter was unyielding. He persisted in denying wrongdoing and vowed to fight for his independence. A group of Canadian activists, led by a girl called Lesra Martin, took notice of his story. Martin was deeply affected by Carter's experience after reading his book. Together with a team of Canadians, he launched an investigation into the case, which led to the discovery of fresh evidence and the exposure of weaknesses in the prosecution's case. Federal Judge H. Lee Sorokin reversed Carter's conviction in 1985 due to their efforts. According to Sorokin's harsh evaluation, the prosecution had been predicated upon an appeal to racism rather than reason, and concealment rather than disclosure. Rubin "Hurricane" Carter was released from prison after serving almost 20 years. Despite achieving freedom, Carter's experience left lasting wounds. His trust in the American legal system, his boxing career, and a portion of his most formative years had all been shattered. He was a completely different person after that. A more contemplative and philosophical person replaced the angry youth who had gone to jail. Carter vowed to devote the years after his release to the cause of defending the rights of other wrongly convicted individuals. After relocating to Toronto, Canada, he became a champion for the unfairly imprisoned. Carter's story highlights systemic problems, including racial prejudice, prosecutorial misconduct, untrustworthy witness testimony, and a justice system that often prioritizes convictions above truth. Carter was much older than his years due to prostate cancer and the stress and misery he had endured throughout his life. He was 76 years old when he died on April 20th, 2014. Despite the mountains of evidence pointing to his innocence, Carter continued to be a divisive figure even after his death. More than simply an injustice and perseverance narrative, Rubin "Hurricane" Carter's life is a remarkable one, a tragic story that shows how our judicial system is flawed and how it may ruin people's lives. It serves as an important reminder of the value of standing up for justice. Carter's chaotic upbringing, contentious conviction, and prolonged struggle for release were all hallmarks of his turbulent existence. He remained resolute in his mission to clear his name and aid the wrongfully accused. Efforts by groups fighting for criminal justice reform and innocence initiatives all around the globe continue his legacy. Thinking back on Carter's narrative brings up some tough issues. I wonder how many other people, like Rubin Carter, are doing time for crimes they did not commit. How can we make our legal system worthy of the trust placed in it? Despite the hardships he endured, Carter's strength and resolve serve as an example to people who strive for social justice, even in this day and age. A man's struggle for liberty is just one small part of the Hurricane's narrative. It delves into the never-ending fight for fairness and equality inside a system that often fails to deliver. Even while we have made great strides, there is still a very long way to go, and it's an appeal for everyone to pitch in and make sure justice is really blind. To live in a world where truth matters and justice, however late, really happens, that world would be heaven enough for us all. As we conclude this chapter on Rubin Carter's life, let us remember his words. In memory of Carter and everyone else who has endured injustice like this, let us work for that world's realization. It is our collective responsibility to keep fighting.